Okay, so this is my power supply, my 7 to 9 amp. Again, always worked well, just suddenly gone up the chute. It's like all these things are like buses, they're all coming at once. So I'm going to venture inside here, take the cover off and see what's gone on. Obviously it's kicking out 26 volts and it should be 13.8. So let me get the cover off and we look inside. I wouldn't advise you to do this because obviously this is mains, but if you go in there you do so at your own risk. I'm going to do it because I need to do it. It's up to you if you do. Right, I've opened it up. There's not a lot inside these, and I'm using my new pointer now because I got told off for prodding around inside with this screwdriver. I've done it for years and it's all right, but I will take that comment on board. So this board here has got 2 bolts that hold it in. I want to quickly drop this board out because it looks like there may be a capacitor burnt right down the bottom of the board, but I can't see. But then also I need to see whether any of these components need testing. There's 3 big capacitors here, 2 one side of the board, 1 on the underneath, cable tied on. So I'd like to get them off and test them. But I just need to give it a good once over. So to get this board off, I've got to undo these 2 screws here whilst gripping a couple of nuts down the bottom there to stop them spinning. So let me get those. Okay, so the board's free, but I can't actually get it out because these wires here are not long enough to allow me to lay the board flat. So I've got to desolder these 2 terminals to get this out. I think I've got enough length on the 3rd wire there. Then we'll drop it down and have a look and see what the components look like on the board. I've got the iron on there at the moment, so as soon as it's done, I'll drop this out and we'll see what we got. Right, well, hopefully we found the problem. I've just dropped the board out. This capacitor here is toast. It's had loads of heat on it. What I'll do now, I'll take a few photos and zoom in on it and give you some real close-ups so you can see what it looks like. Here you go. So 47 microfarad 16 volt is quite a common capacitor, and I do carry spares of capacitors, and as you can see I've got 1 or 2 to choose from. So we're going to put this one in here, and then what I'm going to do is, with it in a sort of disassembled state of repair, I'm going to fire it back up just briefly, albeit quickly. I have all the probes connected up here and I want to see if it's still putting out 26 volts. If that capacitor cures it, all well and good, but if it doesn't, then we've got something else shorting. But I'd rather slaughter a capacitor, which I've got loads of, and put a bit of smoke on that than risk anything else. Right, let me get the capacitor soldered in and we'll see what it looks like when we fire it up. Right, we're ready to go. I did actually power it on accidentally when I put the plug in, but I haven't actually fired it up properly with the probes on and noted the reading. So here goes. Nope, still 26 volts. So it's not that capacitor. That capacitor just died as part of this. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is maybe look at replacing this T2N3055 on the back here, because that, I haven't got a schematic for this, but these wires lead directly to this large track which runs all the way round to where that capacitor was. So, and then the output comes through all these capacitors. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new 2N3055 and try that, I think, and see how we get on. Okay, so I've removed the Toshiba 2N3055 from the back of the power supply, because this is the power transistor, and you can test these. Now, when you look at them, what you will notice is the distance from the pins here to this hole is shorter here than it is from the distance from here to this hole at the top. So you want the shorter distance between the pins and this hole to be on the bottom, as I've got it positioned now. When you've got it like that, the actual metal case is the collector. This pin here is the base, and this pin here is the emitter. Now what you do is you take your multimeter and you connect your negative lead of your multimeter to the emitter. You then connect the positive lead of the multimeter to the collector, which is the case. Okay, so negative lead of multimeter, positive lead of multimeter. And then you take another lead, put your meter on the 20M range, connect that onto there. Now what we're going to do, let's just adjust this up so you can see. Is I'm going to short from, obviously I'm connected onto the base, I'm going to short the base to the collector and we should get a resistance showing here. And we've got nothing. Go down to 200k, nothing, 20k, nothing, 2k, nothing. So that transistor is toast. So I think that is the culprit. So I'll order a new one of those and I'll be back in the blink of an eye. We'll fit this in and then hopefully this will resolve the issue. But that's how you test them. So remember, look at the bottom here. You can see these pins are nearer to this hole than they are to this. So you flip it round. Collector is the actual metal case itself. Base pin, emitter pin. Negative lead on your multimeter to the emitter. Your positive lead to the collector, which is the case. And then you put a flying lead on here, which is the base, and you short the base to the collector, and you should get a reading. But we get nothing, so that is knackered. Right, I'll get another one. Okay, well we had some post at the home QTH today. It's now Wednesday evening, and I've got a brand new Toshiba 2N3055 turned up. And I want to test this before I go through all the aggro of fitting it in. So as you recall the other day, you have to spin it and orientate it so the holes, this is where the centre is, you can see they're sitting lower down to here. So we will wire this up as before. So the negative lead goes onto the emitter, which is the pin this side. The positive lead, which is the white one, connects to the collector, which is there. If we turn the meter on, you can see it's not turned the transistor on yet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to short the base, which I've just put this one on here, to the collector. And I don't know if you can see that there. Well, as soon as I short it, it should lower the voltage. And that means the transistor is turning on and functioning as it should. Right, ready? Watch the display. As you can see, it's dropped right down. Take it off. Gone back up. So that's now turned off. That's now turned on. Now it's turned off. So that one's working okay. I'll show you what the other one, the broken one, looks like for a comparison. Okay, I've connected up the one that we took out. So I'll connect onto there. So you can see we've got 0.00 on the display. If I touch this onto here, now nothing. So that's just not turning on, not turning off, it's just dead. So that one with the lumps of solder on the end, the one we took out, is toast. And that's how you test a 2N3055. This was £4.80, the replacement one from Fleabay, including postage. So they're not the cheapest thing, but if it gets my power supply up and running, because at the moment I'm completely off air, so I need to get that done. Okay, so we got the new bit fitted. The power pack's all back together. So it's time to see if this thing fires up. So, drum roll. Oh, yes. 13.79, 13.8 volts. that means my power pack is back on the air. All looks good, and there doesn't seem to be any smoke coming out of it. So I'm going to leave that running for a bit, and I'll come back in 5 minutes time and we'll see how stable that is. Okay, so 5 minutes have gone by now, and as you can see it's just really stable at 13.79 volts, which is what we want. So it looks like my work here is done. Right, well, you joined me on a Saturday morning doing a bit of fault finding, and I just pulled out R77, which you're not going to be able to see that, which on the circuit diagram is here, which feeds some the transmit voltage into the final 2SC 2312. And I've just pulled that out. It was supposed to be 120 ohms. I tested it in situ and got 95, but it's never good, so you should always desolder it. So I've desoldered it and took it out, and it reads 120.5 ohms, so there is nothing wrong with that resistor at all, and I've got that sitting here, so I'm going to put that back in. However, while I was looking in the area where R77 sits, which is down here alongside VR14, I have just noticed a component right up in this corner. And I'm going to zoom in now and show you a picture of what I've seen. Because at the moment I've fired the rig up, I've got all 13.8 volts going into it, and I've got no transmit. But have a look at this component now, see what you think of that. This may be the cause of the problem. So as you can see in the schematic, R87 is just connected to D36, the MV1Y, which is the transmit driver. So I think, hopefully, that should be the cause of our problem. So I'll replace R87. I'll have to order some 22 ohm resistors because I haven't got any. And then fingers crossed that restores transmit. Well, you can see on the 2SC 2166, which is the transmitter driver, that resistor's left a load of carbon on the front. Whether or not that's going to come off, I don't know. I'm just gently scraping away, and it is, so I'm hoping it's just left some stuff on the surface. And the chip itself is not damaged. It looks like it's just heated up on the front, so I'm going to just gamble my bets and replace that resistor and see if I can get away with that. If not, the chances are it is probably the transistor there, but we'll try that first and see how we go. We haven't got anything to lose. I can't see any other damaged components there at all in that area, so all looks good. Right, okay, on we go. We seem to be making some progress at last, but we're only sort of getting back of where we were.